to the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup.
Yeah, it was a great season last year for Wakefield. They overachieved for me in 2016, and I can't see them repeating that, I'm afraid to say, Trin fans. Something they do have is quality in the halves, with 3 legitimate options in there that can all perform well and run games at the Super League level. I do feel Sam Williams being a great signing, more on him later.
Yeah.
I also think recruitment for 2017 has had a net positive effect on the squad. But they wouldn't have made it if Salford hadn't got points deductions. I don't see the sort of situation of last year.
Yeah.
And then we would have been talking about a totally different side. They might not have signed for Feta. They maybe
they have
gone a different way. No, I get that, but I don't see them being. I see them staying along the same course. They're weak at hooker, but they have got depth at prop. Then they've got some depth in the back row, but it's all young.
Yeah,
it's talented, but it's all young. Outside of the first team starters, making meters and scoring tries were the problem when you look at the numbers for Wakefield from 2016. I think that maybe with the front row additions of Feta from the start of the season and the other players they've added there, Allgood, Hubie, I think they've got an opportunity to address that issue in terms of making ground. Maybe scoring tries was the other big issue, and I'm not sure they have addressed that one enough. I really hope that expectations of the fans aren't influenced too strongly by the outcome of 2016, because I don't think the board of the club are at that level of expectation. I think they think success is safe passage through the middle eights, and I think that would be a fine success for them. Safe passage through the middle eights. Any top 8 finishes, again, a bonus, I would suggest for Wakefield in my view. What do you say?
I agree completely. I think there was an element of overachievement last year, and I worry that they're going to suffer second year syndrome with that. I think they might be found out a little bit more readily. Much of their recruitment, as you alluded to, I think net improves them, but it does come from teams that were sort of around them. I don't think there's any wildly insane signings that they've made. I think Mason Caton-Brown could be a great player, but he's had a lot of teams recently. He's moving around quite a lot, which makes me question why he's being as mobile as he is from team to team to team to team. Hopefully he can settle at Wakefield. I'm really excited to see how Keegan Hurst goes. As you said, they're deep at prop, but it'll be good to see a player with his ability stepping out of part-time rugby league and up into the full-time game to see how he goes. And yes, Sam Williams, the half that they picked up from Canberra.
Did you see him on first dates at Christmas?
No. Oh, yes. And I love to see that.
Bit
of a celebrity, isn't it? Yeah, good.
That's what we need in our sport. We need more people touching the media more often.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes on the field for Wakefield. I'm just not convinced by this squad. I think there's a really big drop off in quality outside the starting 13. I like the back line, less so Scott Griggs, but he's an acquired taste. But there's some talent there, and they've got a very, very steady guy in Liam Finn to hopefully guide Miller and Williams about as well in terms of developing them both and get them about the park. So that's all fine. I just don't think once the injuries start hitting that Wakefield will have enough depth to emulate what they did last season. I hope I'm proven wrong, because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Trin, but I pragmatically.
Well, we all like a bit of Get Carter.
Exactly. Pragmatically, though, I don't see it, and I think they might regress this year. Hopefully not, but I think that all the teams have improved and recruited better around them, and will have more going for them when the injuries start to bite in the summer.
Fair enough. I have Sam Williams as my key man, just because I think you said they've not recruited anyone of a star standing. I think this guy is. I think he could elevate the half-back position from what it was last year, which was quite good in any case. So I do think that he could be a star in this league. He's shown that already before in his brief spell at Catalan. He didn't let his side last year, Canberra, down whenever he had to play.
True.
So he's my key man. My rising star this year, there's a lot of talk about James Batchelor recently in his long-term deal, but I think he's maybe a year off yet being the main guy in that side. So I am going to go with another young back rower in Jordan Crowther. 2015 was Tom Johnston's breakthrough year. 2016 was Max Jowett's breakthrough year for me. So I think it's Crowther's turn this year. Forwards maybe take a little bit longer to develop, so it's reasonable. But I do think he's shown enough potential when I have watched him play. It's now time for him to get more games and minutes this season.
Fantastic. Well, I almost went for Jordan Crowther, but I like Max Jowett too much not to have him as my rising star. I think he's a phenomenally talented young fullback or winger, given the opportunity. And I'm looking forward to watching him and Tom Johnston, to be honest, in a Wakefield Trinity jersey. But my key man for them this year is Danny Kerman. Keep Danny Kerman fit and have him be that Mr. Wakefield on the park, and a lot of good things could happen for this team. And he bleeds Trinity. He's been a fabulous servant for this club for a number of years now. So let's see him kick on and be... What are you shaking your head at?
I'm not shaking my head. Every time you talk about Danny Kerman, all I can remember is that Snapchat.
What Snapchat? Oh God, I didn't see that. I'm all right. So yeah, Snapchat and social media escapades notwithstanding, don't underestimate the importance of Danny Kerman for this side. Whether they deploy him in the second row or at loose, he brings a dynamism to that pack that is lacking in other players in there, and that's going to be important for them. So keep him on the field, and that might serve them well.
I have them then finishing 9th in Super League, but first in the 8s. I think the halfback prowess will be enough to run around the teams at that level in the middle 8, and then nothing from the cup I don't expect this year. I'm a little bit more pessimistic than you. I agree on the cup run, but I've got them finishing 11th and 3rd in the middle 8s, but that comfortable 3rd that we talked about, not in danger of being in £1 million match, but I think that's what you can expect from Trin this season, Mark. What about what the fans are expecting them to do this season? Well, yes, we got quite a bit of feedback on this one from our Wakefield fans. John Ward said a top 8 finish. Danny Fox says they'll piss it, so confidence there from Danny Fox. I like your style. Our friend the Wakey White, good to hear from you, sir, got in touch. He said, this year we have a huge pack, a pacey and exciting backline, and the likes of Sam Williams guiding the team around the park. Throw good old Johnny Two Skulls into the coaching setup. We haven't even talked about John Keir, actually. I wish I could change my thoughts now. Throw John Two Skulls into the coaching setup, and I reckon top 8 nailed on. A bit of consistency, and we could push for top 6. Also tipping on Bachelor in the 19s to come through this year. Could be a star of the future. Highly ambitious, but great optimism. David Wadsworth says top 8 comfortably, a good cup run, and to compete well in the Super 8s and surprise a few teams. And a man who sounds like he might have written cricket almanacs in the Victorian era, R.G. Price. He simply says that they'll finish in 6th place. We ran about 20 seconds under, so just a quick... when we did our talking, so just a quick back onto Two Skulls then. What do you think he does bring in his new role at Wakefield? Grit, determination, never say die spirit? Yeah, you've covered it all there, really. What more can I say about the man? The power of two minds. The power of two. They clearly got the power of two brains, but not in a schizophrenic way. And if you need somebody to get in there at half time and rile you up, not that I'm saying Chris Chester hasn't got it in him, but John Keir's got that little bit of extra motivation in him, and I think he's the sort of guy that people will run through brick walls for. He certainly got them doing it at Batley, so there's no reason he can't get them doing it at a full-time club as well. Which takes us on to the Widnes Vikings, Mark. Yeah, brilliant. Last year they were 7th in Super League after a really, really great start to the season. 7th in the Super 8s was where they ended up. They had a cup quarter-final run there. So how do you feel they're going to do this time around? Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried for the Widnes Vikings, Mark, and I hate to say it because we've got a load of really wonderful contributors who come and watch Widnes on a very regular basis, but I'm about to rinse your team out, lads. Look, for a period of time last year, this group was greater than the sum of its parts, and I think it led a lot of people to believe that Widnes were a better crafted rugby side than we perhaps should have given them credit for. And the second half of last season was a truer reflection of where this side are. Recruitment-wise, they've remained fairly settled in terms of they've not had to bring in, or they've chosen not to bring in anyone ridiculous. Tom Armstrong and Tom Alberson coming in from Bradford are both steady away players for me. They don't bring
a great deal of dynamism to this Widnes side, and of course the big loss for them is Kevin Brown going over up the road to Warrington. Inadequately replaced. I like Joe Mellor, I like Tom Gilmore. I don't think that they're going to give enough of what Kevin Brown brought to that side to help Widnes out. This is a very average looking side across the board. I quite like the back line. I quite like the outside backs, to be honest. Reece Hambry's the the important player in that entire group. He's the spark now for Widnes for me. Beyond that, decent forwards, a reasonable pair of hookers, but they're another year older now, White and Jeremiah. Standard issue players. There's nothing that excites me about this Widnes team, and I think they're really going to struggle for it. My question, as I was writing my notes, was: has Dennis Betts done all he can with this side? Because there's a good youth setup at Widnes. They produce young players. They produce the likes of the Chapelhours and the Chamberlains of this world. And you look at this list, and there's a list of good young players almost as long as your arm, and that's credit to them. But now's the time for them to start investing in that youth in terms of trusting it a little bit. I think that it's just a stagnant squad for me. I'm not overwhelmed by any of it particularly now that Kev Brown's moved on. So yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for Widnes. What do you think? You're going to tell me they're finishing in the top 6 now, aren't you?
No.
What do you think?
I think they've lost such a crucial player in Brown, and not that they've not replaced him well, they've not replaced him at all. Tom Gilmore has had the odd good game when he's played, but he's been around for some time and never forced the issue on a starting spot. Never attracted serious interest from other Super League clubs, as far as I know. Makes you wonder how much he can seriously step up as a regular starter in a crucial position, replacing the leader of the team.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like Joe Mellor. I still think Reece Hambry's fantastic, but they've lost too much maybe and not replaced it. They're still weak in the pack for me. They arguably have the worst pack in the competition. They have really hard working players, don't get me wrong. Hep Cahill, Chris Houston, really, tough, hard working, give you an honest shift players.
Yeah.
But like you say, how far is that going to take you? If the key players stay fit, they could have enough upset wins like they had last year to make the top 8, but I expect them to have a poor year. With the succession planning they've had, the player turnover has been small, but the squad overperformed for just a couple of months in 2016. For the rest of the year, they were not a top side at all. They won the first 6 games, and they only won another 6 games throughout the rest of the season in total, and that's not good enough.
No. The thing that astounds me about this list of players is that the majority of the people written down in front of me were on the field when they beat you at the DW last year. And I just don't see how that could have been possible, looking at this group now and looking at where the rest of their season went.
The time they beat us in the earliest phase of the season was when they were hot.
Yeah.
And I don't want to call them lucky, but they had the most tries I've ever seen off questionable forward passes in that run of 6 games that any team could have in a run of 6 games. And it was because they were so exciting, they were so fast, they were so quick at spotting the space, they were so quick at executing to players to attack that space, that some of those things were maybe let go. Some of those passes or offsides or whatever were maybe let go a little bit, because they earned that look because they were so enterprising and exciting and fast off the mark.
Yeah.
So it's not a criticism that they were a bit lucky, but I felt they were. I look at this squad and they've got 5 frontline players to fill in their whole squad to fill a season's worth of fullback, halfback, standoff, hooker.
No.
And really only Mellor and Hambry of those 5 players would get in another Super League side as a starter, I think.
No, I agree.
So I think
it's not. It's going to be.
I think they need to keep those 5 players, fit for the middle 8s.
Yeah,
that's the part they have to focus on. Sadly, in my opinion, and I hate saying it because we like our Widnes contributors, but we have to pick someone to be last. And they've lost too much. They were so bad over the second half of the season in general.
Yeah.
That a gritty win against a very, 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 very awful Wigan performance Do you remember how disconsolate I was?
I regret bringing it up now because I feel like I've poked the bear. But yeah, you were down on your elbows, weren't you? That one. And,
anyway,
but key players for me. We've already talked about him. Reece Hamley's utterly